Welcome to another WoW Classic TBC Professions Guide. I'm Rolly the Holy Paladin, and today we're going to be leveling our enchanting skill. Let's go. Alright, so before we begin, just to make it clear, this is for WoW Classic The Burning Crusade only. So if you've not got your enchanting to 300 yet, then you can find a card in the top right hand corner of the screen right now, linking to my original WoW Classic 1 to 300 guide. So watch that first, then come back to this. Also, please be aware, this is not my guide, this is actually one that I followed online, and it's from the website wowprofessions.com. This is also not a sponsor, this is just me doing it for fun. Anyway, here on screen is an exact list of the materials that you will need. If you prefer a written version, then the list will be in the description box below to this video. There is a small edit in there too, which you'll see why later on in the video. Now, fun fact and a side note guys, if you remember in the last video guide that I did, I actually mentioned saving all of the cloth while leveling. Well, I actually did the same thing here as well, and I advise that you also follow suit. I actually saved every single green and blue item that I got during the 60 to 70 journey in Classic TBC. Unless they was worth a fair bit of gold on the auction house, of course, I would disenchant everything and then store the materials on my warehouse character. The reason for this is because, as you may know, those materials are hella expensive. But if you look here, it's honestly worth doing. Check out what I already had, and now compare it to what you will need if you didn't do the same as me. So it makes total sense to do this, because you're saving yourself about 50% of the total cost or so, which, being this early into the game, that can be quite a big chunk of gold as well. If you've not done this though, don't worry, just be aware that you'll end up spending more gold than I did. Once you've gotten all of the materials needed, it should look something like this. So now that you have all that, you'll also need to go on a formula hunt. These enchanting formulas are what you can see now on the screen, and here is where we get them from. Shield, Major Stamina. This recipe is sold by Madame Ruby in Shatteroth City, and it'll cost you 3 gold and 60 silver. Superior Wizard Oil. This recipe is sold by the same vendor in the same location in Shatteroth, and it will cost you 6 gold and 30 silver. And the location for this vendor is right here as seen on the map. Formula Runed Adamantite Rod is sold by Rungor in Terracore Forest at the Stonebreaker Hold for the Horde, and by Vodison in Hellfire Peninsula at the Temple of Telemat, and it will cost you 9 gold and 50 silver, and it is as seen here on the map. And finally, Formula Enchant Ring Spell Power is sold by Allure Me in Tanaris. It requires Honoured Reputation with the Keepers of Time faction, and it will cost you 8 gold and 50 silver. Now also note that this shouldn't be too much of a problem if you've already gotten yourself to pre-biz gear, and the location for this is right here as seen on the map. Awesome, now you're ready to max out enchanting. So here we go. 300 to 310, you'll need to do the following: Runed Fell Iron Rod and Enchant Braces Assault. 310 to 316, you'll need to enchant Braces Brawn. 316 to 330, you need to enchant Gloves Assault. From 330 to 335, you'll need to enchant Shield Major Stamina. And from 335 to 340, you'll need to enchant Shield Resilience. 340 to 350, you'll need to do Superior Wizard Oil. And this is what I was talking about earlier on in the video. You see on the guide it says to make 15 of these, and it instructs you to acquire enough materials to do so. The problem, or rather advantage in my case as a paladin, since they're usually useful to me anyway, was that I only actually needed to make 10 in order to go from 340 to 350. So you can see what I mean here. Not to worry though, since you're smart enough to watch this video all the way through to understand this fact. So instead of purchasing 15 nightmare vines and vials, simply purchase 10 of each instead. Moving on, 350 to 365, you'll need to enchant gloves major strength. 365 to 366, you'll need to do runed adamantite rod. And finally, 366 to 375, you'll need to do enchant ring spell power. So there we are, 375 in enchanting in WoW Classic TBC. Not bad for around 15 minutes worth of work once you've got everything that you need. I will also mention that in my previous guide I did not make this item I've not covered yet, which I should have, but at the time I was doing it, it was just so damn expensive. Not to mention it wasn't necessarily essential to get to 300 anyway. Thankfully it's cheaper now in TBC, so I was able to actually sneak my first point with this instead of following the guide outright. Don't worry too much about that either. It simply meant that I had a few extra materials left over at the end. You can see the exact list of materials for this on screen right now, and the total cost too. So it was still somewhat expensive, but compared to its old classic price, it's way cheaper. Finally, I'd like to end things with these few notes. Firstly is the fact that now that you have enchanting maxed out as a caster, healer or paladin tank in my case, you have a small advantage over other players. What is this advantage? It's the ability to gain an extra 24 spell power from having both of your rings enchanted, of course. What an awesome little bonus to this profession, right? Aside from that, but having the ability to disenchant all gear in game are the sole reasons that I chose to go with enchanting in both Classic and Classic TBC. Sure, leather workers will have a decent leg enchant, but since we can apply the armor kits to our legs anyway, I think that having the extra help with the ring enchants gives it the edge. I mean heck, you could combine both of these professions, but let's be honest, engineering is far better with the biz helmets. You know what I'm saying, right? Also, secondly, since I just mentioned it, I did intend to do an engineering video to go alongside this, but unfortunately, I'm going to let you down on that. The simple reason is because I decided to follow a guide on Wowhead, and without coming across like some sort of a doomer or whiny little so-and-so, I'll just say that it was a nightmare and I spent in excess of 3,000 gold because of it. Great guide, right? Sarcasm aside, I won't be doing it because of that reason. If you do want to find a decent guide for engineering though, definitely don't do the one on Wowhead, but instead I recommend the one that I found on the same website as this guide. It's so much better than the one that I followed on Wowhead and probably a lot cheaper too. Oh, and by the way, before you leave guys, I've actually got a little tip for you as well just to help you out a little bit. So, as you know, we need an adamantite rod for enchanting, right? So here I am just buying 20 adamantite bars. Now to make the rod it only requires 10. So obviously for those 20 I've actually made 2. So why would I make 2 instead of 1? Well, you're about to find out in a minute. So obviously after finding someone who can of course make this, which is you're going to need someone with blacksmithing skill of course. So as you can see right now, you know, the person that I found, nice name by the way, they actually made me 2 of them. And of course, you know, I gave them a nice little tip there as well, 10 gold. So in total, right, because obviously those bars, if we just rewind the video quickly, it cost me 79 gold to actually buy the 20 bars. And of course, adding the 10 gold on top of that, it's 89 gold, right? Whereas if you look here, for me to actually sell it, which I did sell the spare one that I got, I actually sold it for just under 69 gold. So I guess you can say, in a way, I've virtually gotten the adamantite rod for free, or half price, I guess, if you look at it. It depends which way you look at it, but this is just one of many ways that you can save gold through doing little things like this, okay? So just always be on the lookout for, any kind of little deals like this and stuff like that. You'd be surprised at the amount of different things you can apply this same tip with that'll just help you not only save gold in the long run, but potentially even make you some extra gold as well. So, yeah. Anyway, enjoy, guys.